This is the Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
Let's go nuts! It's Jimmy Nuts! Right out of the door!
With your hosts, Mark Martinez.
Because I'm the Mark and I'm awesome!
The Guru.
Today I'm going to break it down for all you simpleton sweat hogs listening out there in Can Crusher Nation. I don't mean to come out here week after week and toot my own horn, but toot.
And the English Professor.
It is I, the English professor from the County of Kings, speaking the English of the Queen.
Hey, this is former WWE superstar Duke, the Dumpster Drosy, and you are listening to the Can Crushers Podcast.
And welcome back to another Can Crushers Spotlight. I'm elated to have our guest on the show, but before I actually have a co-host this week for Can Crushers Spotlight, joining me from, John, you look like you're in the corner of a wall somewhere. Are you at work yet? Still publishing books, or what's going on? How are you, English Professor?
I'm doing great, Mark. I thought you were going to say you were elated to have the co-host, but you're probably a little more elated about our guest, right?
Oh, by far.
That's understandable.
Hello, Dime Piece. Coming on the show.
Yeah. What do you got in mind to ask her?
I want to compare her to some of the manager valets from yesteryear, because you don't see a lot now. John, we know, we follow her on all the social medias. She's a model. She does so much. An active lifestyle. Like, she's always busy. I don't know.
Yeah, she is. She's got a lot going on, so I'm eager to pick her brain about a lot of things. I am most curious to ask her about the IWC Tag Team Championship match coming up, feature presentation, and the fact that it was postponed, and kind of figure out how, see what Team Big League thinks about that, see how they're staying focused.
Yeah, but prior to that event, John, for IWC, the week before, September 12th, is Super Indy, and it was just announced that Zach Nystrom's in Super Indy. So I'm sure she's going to be out there with the sure shot.
Yeah, and, it's interesting. Team Big League can have a whole bunch of belts, and I would imagine with her being a manager, that would mean a bigger paycheck for her, too.
For sure. Guys, we'll get to that interview, but first we have to do one thing. John, what do we have to do?
We have to talk about collar and elbow, and we have to talk about, not really the elephant in the room, but I guess the coincidence. We're both wearing collar and elbow, and we didn't send a memo out, but we're both wearing the Macho Man collar and elbow shirt, the purple with the shades with Al Snow and head.
Yeah, let's hope, maybe you just didn't get the memo. Let's hope that Julia gets the memo and she's got some type of Macho Man stuff on too. That would be awesome. Or
That would be awesome.
It at least brings up Macho Man.
Yeah.
It's one of our favorites, wrestlers ever.
Without a doubt.
So, guys, collar and elbow. You can get hats, hoodies, tees. They have shorts now. Head over to collarandelbow.com. Use our promo code. John, what's our promo code?
It is Can Crushers. It's all one word, capital C in Can, capital C in Crushers. When you use that promo code, guys, you will save 10% on your order.
Yeah, so that's exciting. It's great. It's comfortable. I legit live in a collar and elbow shirt. I'm not going to gloat, John. I have enough for the week that I should throw some of my other shirts away. They're just comfortable. They're breathable. They're nice.
Yeah, same here, man. And honestly, guys, you can sleep in them. Mark says he lives in them. You can sleep in them. You can wear them out. They fit very, very nicely, and they're very comfortable. I love them.
And if you sleep in them, once you wash them, they bounce back nice. You know how some shirts don't bounce back after you've wrestled in them or something? These do. Al Snow knows what he's doing. He's at 196 and a half years old right now. He knows how to create shirts.
He sure does.
Here he comes.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. a brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
And welcome back to Can Crusher Spotlight. Joining me now is the one, the only, Julia, known as the Dime Piece in IWC. Dime Piece, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
We're doing well. We're doing well. I see you're already drinking. Good job.
Of course I am. It's, 7 o'clock on a Monday? I think so.
Good job.
Yeah, you're joined today by a co-host, right, Mark?
Yeah, well, we did that in the intro, remember?
Right.
Yeah. See
How
how
back
that...
from the commercial, I'd like to be introduced again. Anyway, welcome to the show, Julia.
Well, thanks.
All right, so we're going to dive right into this. September 19th is feature presentation. It looks like that the Team Big League is going to be fighting Steak and Eggs again, if it's postponed correctly, because the show this past weekend was canceled because of rain, and then it didn't rain in Pittsburgh. But nonetheless...
I have something to say about that. That's totally Xander's fault, because he clearly paid Plummer off for that. I mean, you saw there was no sunshine, and if you were paying attention, that when they announced that Nystrom was on Super Indy, you would have seen that clearly it's Xander's fault.
It is Xander's fault. Xander was talking some smack on you guys on our last Spotlight. I don't know if you graced them or not.
Of which I don't appreciate the whole shrimp and tartar sauce thing, and enough's enough of that.
Yeah, that's not right. That's not right. So you're saying he's trying to avoid this title match as much as possible?
Clearly, because he's intimidated by Elijah and Zach. Clearly.
So let me ask you, with the postponement, what's the frame of mind for Elijah and Zach? How are they feeling about this? Are they bummed out? Are they still just as focused?
Well, they're mad, obviously, the fact that it got postponed. But at the same time, it's more motivation and gives them more time for training so they can, number one, kick the googly eyes off of Xander's head. And I'm not talking about the ones that are on his headband.
Wow.
And number two, I mean, obviously, Bulk's gotten kind of soft. So hopefully, they'll bring out the old Bulk Nasty, so they actually have some competition.
Wow.
But needless to say, my guys are going to kick their asses.
That's September 19th. We'll get to September 12th because Super Indy has been jostled around the whole time. But let's talk about Dime Piece, Julia, as we know her. And we see that you're drinking at 7 o'clock on a Monday night, so you rock with the Can Crushers for sure. Let's talk about how you got into wrestling. Let's do the rewind all the way back to the beginning. How did you find it as a kid? Who was it? Grandma, Grandpa, Uncle Joe? Who was it?
It was actually my cousin. My cousin had brought the WWF ring, toy ring set to my grandma's house, because there's a bit of an age gap between him and I, and he was getting to the point of, not playing with his action figures anymore. So he's like, I'll bring them to grandma's because I know my cousins will use it. So there was Macho Man, there was Hulk Hogan, and I mean, the ring, the top rope was broken because of how many times we had the action figures jumping off the top rope. But there were times that he would sit and watch it on TV at my grandma's house for family events, and I was just so curious about it, and I just kind of watched it from there with him. But then I fell off of it for a while and then got back into it in high school. It was like back and forth. And then once YouTube became a thing, that's when I really started getting back into it. just watching all the matches that they would upload online. And then really what got me in the independent scene was almost probably 2 years ago. John McChesney actually personally invited me to go to one of the Erie Revenge shows. And this was when I was like, oh, what the heck? Why not? I'll check it out. Like, I've never been to an independent show. And I absolutely just fell in love with it. So
Yeah.
are we talking, I have to ask this, Mark, the action figures, were they like big rubber dolls, or are we talking like the little plastic ones that were kind of posable? Do you remember? The posable ones. Yeah. Awesome. I have a bunch of those too. I have like every series you can possibly imagine. When this whole thing is over, you guys both come over to my house. We'll have a play date. We'll bust out the WWF action figures.
Would love that. You know I'm in.
Well,
yeah.
All right, yeah, let us know. One way or the other.
Maybe we can work it into your system, into your schedule. I know you're busy. You're very busy, but one day of playing wrestling with us would be all right. If it's okay with the man dime.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I already know the answer to that is going to be no, because if you would have seen what he posted on Facebook about people with action figures or dolls or toys of wrestling, so.
Yeah, man. But one day when he gets one, he'll change his ways, and he'll be happy to have his own doll, enrolling in even more money.
Yep.
Action figure, not doll.
Okay, action figure. I'm a minor. I'm sorry. So, legitimately, what you just told me there is John McChesney handpicked you because you said 2 years ago. So, he is the founding father of Team Big League, but you're actually now second in control, more or less, because you were picked before Elijah Deem or Zach Nystrom. He handpicked you and then found the other two.
It's because before he invited me to do that, I was his hairdresser.
Oh.
And you're still...
I was the one that was making him look good, and he had been trying to get me to go, and I was like, okay, I'll clear up my schedule for this. And so he's like, come to one of the shows. So I went to an Erie show, and then I had so much fun that he was like, hey, I'm wrestling in Pittsburgh in March. It's literally the day after your birthday. So why don't you go? So it was March of last year. So that's when John lost the Super Indy to Wardlow. And Pittsburgh is actually where I grew up. So I was able to like be in my own stomping grounds, which was really nice. And that's when I got to meet Justin and Jenny and everybody on the IWC roster. And that's actually where John actually introduced me to Elijah. And I mean, obviously there was a connection there immediately.
For sure.
Yeah, John's got gorgeous hair. It's long and flowing in the way it's layered. So kudos to you. You do a nice job with his hair.
Well, thank you. I mean, after doing it for so many years, you think I would know what I'm doing.
Yeah, let's touch on that real quick. Is outside of wrestling, you have a host of other things you do. Go ahead and inform us in Can Crusher Nation of, they're cool. They really are cool. And by the way, I love the pink stripe. It looks great in your hair.
Oh, my hair? Yeah. So my main career that I do outside of wrestling is I am a hairdresser. I've been doing that for about 11 years now. I got my license when I was 19. I've been working ever since. I've actually been managing a salon for about 5 years now, and it's been a whirlwind of fun. I absolutely love what I do. I'm very passionate about it. You have to be very artistic, creative. There's just so much more to it than just, cutting hair, slapping color on somebody's head. There's so much more to it than what people give credit for. And then I also work at one of the local bars. I'm one of their shot girls. And so I'm going around with those little test tube trays with dollar shots and make some money that way. And then my big thing that really helped me get noticed was I do modeling.
And you've been in a few magazines recently. One with somebody that's been missing from IWC for a while. You were in which he's calling it the Jackson Argos edition of it, but you were also in it as well. What magazine is that?
It is the Rockstar's Dream magazine. And just so you know, he would not have gotten in that magazine if it wasn't through me. Because if he would have gotten the first magazine, you would have seen that there was a whole article about Julia Lynn, the dime piece.
Wow. Speaking of wrestling personalities who do hair, Ray Lynn, my understanding, is also a hairdresser. So is there an angle there maybe, Mark? Would you want to see like a hairdresser versus hairdresser match, or maybe they could be a tag team?
No, I'm not a wrestler. I'm only a manager valet. No, I don't do that.
We'll touch on that in a minute. But I know what John's saying. Like, John's got luscious hair compared to my balding head.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How about you guys, one show, Ray Lynn does something to John's hair, and then the next show, maybe Dime Piece does something to John's hair, and have a vote who did it the best, or maybe you could just be dastardly, Julia, and just shave it off, and I would pay for anything you needed for a year, because that would be great.
I would never do that to John.
See, thank you, Julia. I'd be down with that. I would be A-okay with the Dime Piece and Ray Lynn working on my hair.
So you brought up that you started in Pittsburgh, your life, and you moved to Erie. What was the move for? Was it for school? And I have a lot to talk about Erie because working with the Seawolves for a while. How many Seawolves games do you get? What bar do you go or are you working at? Because for 2-3 years I was at every of them after the games. So let's talk Erie a little bit.
Okay.
So what bar do you work at?
So in the wintertime, I'm at Big Bar, which is right by the stadium.
It is.
And the guy that owns Big Bar also owns the one dance club downtown. The indoor part of it is called Resolution, and then the outdoor part is called Coconut Joe's. Now, I know with a lot of the after revenge parties, everybody loves going to Big Bar. And one of the cool things is Big Bar is literally across the street from where we have the shows at the Avalon Hotel. It's right in the heart of downtown Erie. And in the summertime, they actually have a party bus. I mean, lights going, music blasting, and it'll transport you from Big Bar to Coconut Joe's. So you don't have to walk from one bar to the other. It actually transports you. And it has music blasting and everything. And it's so much fun.
And then it brings you back to the Avalon if you want to stay there for the night because you've been crocked with the wrestlers and the talent, right?
Yep.
It's a great time, John.
It goes like every 15 minutes.
That sounds awesome.
Oh,
when do you sleep?
I'll get plenty of sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah, that's a great attitude. It really is.
Great attitude. So,
hey, you always have to be making money, so.
Seawolves, this is just my own personal question. Do you get to go to Seawolves games, or are you a baseball fan that you like going to them? I mean, it could just be a quick yes or no answer.
I've gone to a few over the past few years. Baseball is more of one of those things that I like to see more in person as opposed to TV. I don't go all the time, but I have gone to a few.
John?
So Mark and I are clearly nerds if you ever listen to the show. But before we came on, Mark filled me in on some of your interests. We're talking superheroes, Marvel.
A little bit here and there. I'm a little bit of I have a little bit of a geeky side to me. It's not as much the superhero stuff as I do love Deadpool. I did really enjoy the last Avengers stuff. I've actually was over quarantine. I was kind of watching it backwards from Endgame to all the way back. But my big thing is I'm a huge Legend of Zelda fan more than anything.
Like the Nintendo game? Like the original Nintendo game? Wow.
Yeah, I have a giant sword and shield sitting in my living room, and I have a tattoo on my arm from Legend of.
tattoos is a great transition because I have it on my list. John didn't know about this. I'm a tattoo fan as well, but you have one that is it a crossword puzzle or something? It's something like that it is truly meaningful to you, and I want everybody to know the story. I know some of it, but I don't know the whole thing, so let us know that.
Okay, so I have a total of 7 tattoos, and every single one of them has this very special meaning to me. But the one that you're asking about is definitely a crossword puzzle. So it's all my grandparents and my great-grandparents' last names. So this includes, like, my mother's maiden name, my father's mother's maiden name. I mean, there's so many different generations, and my father's side of the family, my grandmother and I, we would do crossword puzzles together all the time. And my mom's side of the family, we would play Scrabble all the time. And all the last names are so complicated, but there's a lot of similar letters. I was like, okay, do I want to get my last name tattooed on me? But like, this part of my family is a big part of me, and this part of my family did a big part of my life. So I was like, how do I incorporate all that? So actually, my sisters were the one that came up with the idea of turning it into a crossword puzzle. So I just typed all the names in like a crossword puzzle maker, and I clicked, finally got one in the shape that I liked, and got it tattooed on me.
That is a very cool story.
See, I told you. I do some research once in a while.
Wow.
I do.
I'm going to ask the hard-hitting question that people I'm sure want to know. Where is this tattoo, Julia?
It is on my right back shoulder. So like the shoulder blade, like the upper right part of my back.
Wow, that is very cool.
You'll see it more like when I don't have a jacket on, or if I'm like wearing a dress that I'm not covering my back. You'll see that more.
What are some of your other ones? Do you have a wrestling one yet? Are you there yet?
Not yet. I'm thinking about it. I'm honestly thinking about it. But I've got the one that's on my hip, which is a Phantom of the Opera tattoo. And I mean, it goes from my hip to probably my fingertip length. So it's a pretty big one, which I'm sure you guys have seen when I have my shorts and everything.
Photo shoots.
Yeah, the photo shoots and everything. But that one, my grandmother, on my father's side, it was her favorite musical. And one time I went and saw it in Pittsburgh, and something was telling me to go visit her in the nursing home. So I went and visited her, and it was actually the last time I got to see her, but she kept oohing and awing over how dressed up me and my date were, and like, I mean, I had like a full fur mink coat and everything. My hair was all done up, all gorgeous. I mean, we were at the opera, so obviously I had to get dolled up, but it was the last time I got to see her, and she was just oohing and awing over it. I mean, she lived to be 93, almost 94 years old. So she lived a good life, and the fact that I was able to put a smile on her face that day meant so much to me. So my hip tattoo is dedicated to her.
That's a great memory to have. That really is. I love that. And not being weird, I love your hip tattoo more than I love your last name tattoo now, because I'm a softie for grandmothers.
That's a great story, too. That's the really great story.
The one on my inner left arm is for her husband, my grandfather, which it says, "I love you, a bushel and a peck, and a hug around the neck." And he would sing that to me all the time when I was a little girl. So literally, I've got something for each one of them.
So family's really important. You're very family oriented, obviously.
Very, very family oriented.
So when you told them that you were going to get into this wrestling business with air quotes, what did they say? You're absolutely nuts.
They were more surprised and shocked than anything. But then again, like, I've been doing the modeling thing. I've got tattoos. So nothing really surprises them. I think it actually surprised my cousin more than anything, because the one that got me into wrestling back when I was a kid, he actually used to come to IWC when he was a kid. And he was telling me, like, all the wrestlers that he used to watch all the time. And I mean, obviously, you know, John McChesney has been around for a while. He remembers, like, John when he was younger. And I was telling him, you know, like, hey, I'm teaming up with John McChesney. And so I've actually gotten my cousin to come back to the IWC shows now because I'm doing it. And I was actually able to get my mom to go. And she was like, at first, I don't know how I feel about this because, you know, people are going to be shouting names at you. But when her first show that she went to was actually Man Diamond I versus Sean Spears. And she had such a blast with the fact that it was, she interpreted it more like Rocky Horror Picture Show, where it's like you break the third wall of the theater.
Yes.
Where you can interact with the crowd. And she absolutely fell in love with it.
So your mom's concern is my next question here, and she's justified in this concern. I don't know if you've heard some of the chants. I'm sure you have. Yeah. And I'll bring up one that's just awful that I've heard there, and I'm wondering how you process this, and if your mom's aware of this and how she processes it. But there was one time, and I'm so sorry, there was a chant of Dime Store Horror at an IWC event. I don't know if you heard that or not, but no, you didn't.
That.
But aside from that one, what are some nasty things you've heard, and how do you process that? And with the idea, I guess, that maybe people are just having a good time at a wrestling show.
Well, I figure, you know, since we're heels, you know, we're the bad guys, I'm going to have names called at me. I mean, I'm a beautiful woman. Here I'm ringside with a very good-looking man. So obviously they're very jealous. I've heard she's a bitch. She's got herpes. She's a trafficker. Oh, yeah, I've heard it all. I've heard go back to the strip club. I've heard everything. And I just figure, you know, hey, if they're saying that, I'm doing something right. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. They can keep hating all they want because clearly they're jealous the fact that someone as good looking as me is with it, someone as good looking as Elijah, and the fact that now we've got a whole team of good looking men. So it's like, clearly it's all out of jealousy. So they can keep chanting all they want, but it's just going to motivate me to do so much more, knowing that I'm so much better than them.
He is gorgeous, Mark.
Oh my God, he's handsome. He's debonair. Yes, he is. Do you ever hear our IWC correspondent Soup ever just bellowing he wants your phone number? He always, as soon as you walk out, he's asking for your phone number.
I kind of tune him out, and whenever I go back, when I kind of watch the recap, I'm seeing him looking at the camera, holding his hand up, like, call me, and him mouthing it to me. And I'm just like, whatever.
So you're not purposely causing trouble, but Mark, Soup is your cousin. And
yes.
Are they married yet? Are they engaged?
They're engaged.
They're engaged. He's got a beautiful girlfriend. I don't know if she's aware that he's trying to pick up the dime piece at IWC shows, but you're a bit of a homewrecker, whether you know it or not.
A homewrecker if I decide to respond.
Okay, fair enough.
It's not my fault, the fact that he wants to get my number. It's the fact that I don't respond. See, if I respond, that's whenever it's trouble.
Yeah, Julia has done nothing wrong. She's just showing up doing her job. So I have to defend her there. Soup needs to keep it in his pants, is all it is.
Yes, it does. He better calm it down.
So there's another fan that is always goading you as well, and I'm going to throw her under the bus as well. This Megan Nelson woman just won't leave you alone. What do you have to say to her?
She's kind of obsessed with me.
She really is. Like, it's unbelievable. I've never seen another woman so obsessed with you. It's, wow. A lot are, but wow.
No, I kind of like it. So whenever she says, I love you, dime piece, I'll blow her a kiss and everything. So, yeah, I try to share the love because if somebody loves me, I'll share the love back.
Well,
That's nice.
We love you. We love you. So.
Oh, believe me, I've heard on many of your podcasts, especially back in business one where you were like, let's just get this out of the way. Hello, dime piece. Oh, I heard that.
We haven't seen you in 6 months, so I was just happy to see you. It was just me saying, hello, dime piece, in my best Val Venus.
I mean, what, were you not paying attention to my Instagram or my Facebook?
Now, you know that's a lie, because... All right, so we're gonna take a, not that we've really pounded on wrestling at all, but we'll take a little step away and just throw some silly questions at you and see how you respond to those. And I got my deck right in front of me. I don't know what John's gonna shoot at you, but the first one is stupid. When you think about success, who comes to mind and why? So who do you kind of, and I know the answer to this, but who are you kind of building Dime Piece or Julia after? You know, who's done the most in your head?
I mean, to be honest, I've been trying to take a little bit of all the different valets over the years. I'm trying to channel Sensational Sherry.
I knew it. Sorry, go ahead.
Elizabeth. A little bit of Sunny with the whole modeling thing. Let's see, who else am I? There's a couple women in wrestling that I'm definitely trying to channel like Dime Piece after, and like pick and choose from each person, and a little bit of Trish. I mean, I want to create my own character, but like I'm definitely learning a lot from observing these women and watching some of their stuff in the past, and a lot of the guys in Team Big League are like, hey, check her out, like study a little bit more about her. Who knows, you might be able to get a little bit more involved if you work on it a little bit. And I'm like, all right.
Go ahead,
Mark. All right. I was thinking Sensational Sherry, because let's be honest, the IWC network for $9.99 a month does not lie. The video is there. We see the Dime Piece get involved in Team Big League's matches and Man Dime's matches. So that's why Sherry came to mind for me, because she wasn't afraid to get in there and stick up for her men.
Well, I also say that...
That's it. That's exactly it. Like, I'm not afraid to stand up and stick up for my guys, whether it's actually in the ring or even saying something on social media. Like, I don't want to be completely silent, but it's like, I want people to know, like, yeah, I'm still here, even though Hooven says all the time, oh, are you surprised that Dime gave you internet access again? I've always had internet access.
Stirring the pot. Well, on that same IWC network for $9.99, you can see why I brought that question up with the whole wraparound to Sensational Sherry. You're holding a mirror for your wrestler. It's Sherry and HBK. I mean, that is the package between you and the Man Dime. That is who I think of instantly. Boom. And you throw Nystrom in, who, you know, can kind of be a Diesel type of character because he's taller, bigger. So, yeah.
We love the comparisons here.
Big guys on my team.
You do have some big guys on your team.
I mean, you can tell that they definitely took some really good advice from a very good wrestler to body up over quarantine.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of quarantine, we've just broken out of that. And what has been something that you can brag that you've done in the last 30 days? I mean, yes, wrestling has been back now for 30 days in our area, but throw wrestling aside, and modeling and your hair. So, personal life. Yeah, see, set you up. What's something you can say, yes, I did this during quarantine in the last 30 days?
Besides all of that?
Yeah. You're not sleeping, so.
No, I mean, just trying to think all that. I mean, I've been working out a lot. I've been rearranging my house a lot, doing a couple, like, at-home projects. I actually did a lot of outdoor activities over quarantine. I mean, I went out on jet skis a couple times, went rollerblading around the peninsula a ton, went four-wheeling. I mean, I just basically kept myself really busy and really active, because clearly if you're just going to sit on a couch for months, because obviously we had no idea how long this was going to be. So I just kept myself busy.
Good call. John, you got a silly question? Because I have
Is that
one.
all she did?
That's all she did.
Oh.
She worked, she trained, she did everything in the world.
I did a ton of modeling, ton of photo shoots. The whole modeling thing with Rockstar's Dream. It actually started out with just working modeling with a lingerie company, and then going from there, that's how it built the magazine and just went from there. I mean, I was recording ads for them. I was traveling down to Pittsburgh for that. All sorts of fun stuff. So mainly a lot of the stuff over quarantine, besides working out and being outdoors, was stuff for Rockstar's Dream magazine.
Do you have links to any of that so that a creep like Mark's cousin can see those pictures of you in lingerie?
Yeah, actually.
Go ahead.
He follows me on Instagram, so he can see a lot of the stuff. But one of the cool things is that they're also starting to do is where it's like meet a rock star, meet a dream girl, where you can do like a Zoom conference call with one of the models or like someone famous. And that, I mean, obviously you have to pay for it, but there is that option of having where you can have that one-on-one conversation with somebody. So there's that. I mean, I can send you guys the links to all of that. There's copies of the magazines on there. They've got all sorts of my testimonials and photos of me on there. But I can send you guys the links, and I know we're working on it. Oh yeah, we're working on the October magazine, and I'm going to be in that one too. So I'm just keeping myself busy.
Besides Team Big League, so we're taking Team Big League out of this question. Give me 3 other wrestlers, talent, even Jesse the Mark can be in this, and that's no disrespect, but 3 people at IWC that you hang out with, that, that if you're on a desert island, these 3 people would be cool to hang out with.
Jock Sampson is my number one.
God.
100%. Let's see. Who else do I hang out with?
Well, everybody else is going to be a distant second. Jock Sampson was right at the tip of her tongue, and nobody else comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I can't really think of anybody else. It's mainly Jock. Like, if it wasn't for Team Big League and Elijah, it would just be Jock 100%.
Is it because he's I don't want to say he's a huggable type of guy, because he hates the world and he despises us. So why?
What is it about him?
He's the greatest of all time. He is the GOAT of wrestling. He's so much fun to hang out with. I mean, every time I see him, he just makes my heart flutter. Like, oh, he's such a man. Like, I can't even describe it. I'm speechless over Jock.
Yeah, Jock.
Elijah Dean is aware of this?
Huh?
Elijah Dean is aware of this, too, about how you feel about Jock?
Oh, yeah. Oh, he knows Elijah is the greatest of all time. He knows, and he appreciates that.
All right. Wow. All right. Good for both of them. This is John's question, but he didn't answer it yet. He didn't ask it yet, so what book needs to be on everybody's shelf?
What book?
Yep.
There is a book that I really enjoy. It's called You Are a Badass.
Really?
It is a motivational book that whenever because I've dealt with like anxiety and depression, and anytime I need self-motivation, I mean, literally this author does not hold anything back, cusses up a storm in it, and it's like, you know what? You are the boss. Don't let anybody tell you any different. You are in control of your life and your happiness. I mean, seriously, like, I absolutely love it. I think I have it in my right next to me. Yeah. It's You're a Badass by Jen Sincero. It's like a bright yellow book, and it literally changed my life.
Wow.
That's a book actually I want to look into now. Legit. It's
It's a really good self-help and like personal growth book.
Nice. John, do you have a question?
Yeah. Do you plan? Earlier you said you're a manager, you're a valet, and you talked about some of the greats after whom you've patterned yourself, and of course you bring your own bit to it as well. Do you have any intentions of ever getting in the ring? Is it calling you at all?
I mean, if whoever wants me to has a big enough checkbook and I get the okay from Elijah, then we'll talk about it.
All right.
So
open up the checkbook, Justin, because I'm curious. I'm curious to see what she has, Mark.
So in the same aspect, no aspirations of ever being a woman's champion?
Again, we'll debate on that. Whoever has the biggest checkbook for me. We'll see.
It's business.
It is business. Well, it's good.
Talk money. And show me the money and we'll talk about it.
So we know you have some great jobs. You're in wrestling. Awesome. We love that. You're living your life as a hairstylist. You're modeling and kicking ass there. Let's just turn it around. What's been the worst job you've ever had?
I would say being a Taekwondo instructor.
Wow. Why?
Why? Yeah.
The person that was teaching me was one of my exes and was very controlling and was a total asshole. So, yeah, that's why I did not enjoy teaching.
Did you enjoy the students, though? Did you enjoy working with? Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny because actually just the other day, I had this young lady sit in my chair, and she happened to be one of my students from 10 years ago. And I didn't even recognize her because obviously she went from 7 years old to 17. So it's like, holy crap, you grew up. But I absolutely loved the students. Whenever my ex and I split, I left while he still had the Taekwondo school. And that was probably one of the harder things of the breakup. But at the same time, I was like, if these kids still want to be a part of my life, their parents know how to get a hold of me.
Do you still practice? Do you still train at all? When you talk about working out, do you still do any Taekwondo?
Not in like studio type stuff. A lot of the stretches I still do. I injured my knee when I was 23, and now I have arthritis in it, so it's really hard for me to do any of the stuff that I used to do. But I mean, I still I can still do it in my head, and I know all the techniques, how to do certain things. But at the same time, I don't want to kick and then pop out a hip or have my knee give out anymore.
Right. Mark, I've had an open challenge to Jimmy Nuts now for a while for jiu-jitsu, gi or no gi. And I also practice a little Muay Thai. I was going to challenge Julia, but it sounds like she's already kind of made excuses for why she wouldn't be down for a fight with me. Her knee and arthritis and all that other stuff. So I won't even put the challenge out there.
Yeah, I mean, it happens over the years, especially when you're in athletics for so many years. And I mean, with all the snaps and stuff that you got to do when you're kicking and punching, it wears down on your body. And then plus on top of that, doing hair and standing all day, it wears on your knees a little bit.
So you don't want to fight me then?
No.
I never said that.
Oh, all right. Book it, plumber.
So I understand the knee issue because when we were in 10th grade, John threw me off the bleachers. We were having a scaffold match, and my knee has not been good since. I continued doing sports. I was a catcher for baseball, so I've blown knees out several times there. But he doesn't understand sports. He's always been somebody behind the desk writing books or, doing fancy lad type of stuff.
My figure four was deadly, though, Mark. Be honest. My figure four was the stuff of legends in elementary school.
Yeah. Julia, what's the best piece of advice anybody has ever given you? In life, in the ring, anything?
Oh, let's see. There's two things that people have said to me. So one was a leopard never changes its spots. So a person, more than likely, if they haven't changed after so long, they're not going to change at all. But the big thing that I feel like really helped change my life was don't expect other people to make you happy. You are only in charge of your own personal happiness. Once you find that personal happiness, then you can go out into the world and spread that happiness. You can't spread happiness and still be sad inside. You have to find that happiness within yourself before you can go out into the world and spread it. Whether it's work related, whether it's personal life related, whether it's relationship related, like you have to make sure that you are happy yourself first before you take care of anybody else.
You're a hard worker and a go-getter, and it's obvious in talking to you. And you talked about how important family is to you. Did someone set that example for you in your family? You think this is something that's just been in you from the get-go? Or did someone set an example for you?
It has been. My mom is one of 7 children. I'm one of 18 grandkids. My mom grew up on 42 acres of land in Butler. Every 4th of July, every Christmas, we were always having these big family get-togethers. I mean, bonfires, sleepover tents. We're playing in the cornfields. I mean, we always did these things every single holiday. We always got together. So my mom and her siblings were very close. My dad and his family and sibling was very close. Like we always did stuff together. And this was something that I've seen growing up. Like my mom's 5 brothers all sing barbershop quartet stuff. They get together for parties. I mean, we've done all this stuff together as families since I was a kid, and I grew up with that. And I feel like it really shaped who I am and how important my family is. Like the importance of being there for each other, even though we may not always agree on everything. They've always been there in support of me and in a non-toxic way. Because I know that there's families out there that, can be a little toxic for each other and they're unhealthy. But my family can agree to disagree and still love each other and be there in support and hey, I've got this emergency. Can you help me out? Sure, I can help you out with that. Like my uncle was on dialysis for years. What did my mom do? She donated her kidney to him because he needed a kidney transplant.
My wife has a tattoo that says family is everything. So I completely echo what you just said, Julia, and that warms my heart. It warms my heart that you hear that there still are good families out there and they aren't toxic. Yes.
Yes. I mean, it's a rare thing nowadays.
It really is. It really is.
And it's so funny because my cousin that got me into wrestling is on my dad's side of the family. He's the only cousin I have on that side. My mom's side of the family, the boys that did the wrestling and stuff, they did that when they were teenagers, but forgot about it. And the first Christmas that we all got together and they were like, so what's it like with this? What's it like with that? Do you guys know about the ending of the match? Do you guys do this? And I'm like, no, I'm not telling any of you guys that. You have to watch the match and find out for yourself.
Nice.
Great.
So you're living the rock star life. You really are. No pun with the magazine and everything. What's left on your bucket list before we dive back into some more IWC stuff? What's on your bucket list?
Traveling. Definitely traveling, going overseas. I want to visit Europe. I've got some extended family that live over there, and I would really love to go visit Germany, Ireland, Lithuania, Poland. I mean, all sorts of the European countries that my family has been a part of. And also, I would definitely love to see Asia and Australia. I definitely want to travel. That's on my bucket list.
Australia always intrigues me. I'd love to go down and not run with the kangaroos, maybe bounce with them a couple times, and then they'd beat my ass probably, but... So September 12th is Super Indy, getting back into IWC, and it will be taking place at the Washington Wild Things Stadium. It's at 7 o'clock. It will be available on the IWC network a couple days later. Get there, $25 a ticket. We found out recently that the Sure Shot Zach Nystrom, is now in the Super Indy tournament. I'd imagine you're going to be there, right along by his side, Mandime and you hanging out. He's a pick. He really, I mean, I know that sounds stupid, but he's a sure shot pick to go a long way.
Oh, yeah. Like, Super Indy is definitely not Elijah's style. Elijah's style is more heavyweight champion style. Nystrom, he's definitely Super Indy material. So imagine Nystrom Super Indy champ, Elijah heavyweight champ, also tag team champ. I like the sound of that.
Wow. They are good, Mark. I mean, we give them a lot of grief on this show, but they are both pretty special talents. And I suppose I'm stirring the pot here. They would both be okay with those respective titles. Zach wouldn't think at any point, you know what, I have this belt. Maybe I want Elijah's too. No?
No, it's about respect. That's something that we as Team Big League have not gotten. We still get toilet paper thrown at us. I mean, especially during the pandemic, whenever toilet paper was having a shortage, we still had a roll thrown at us. Like, there was no respect at all. And it's like, here, you see everybody, like, they're doing okay, but you can physically see the difference in Elijah and Zach. Like, they've been working hard. They've been training so hard. Like, they did not take a day off during quarantine at all. They definitely bodied up. I am so proud of them for how hard they've been working. And we're going to prove it on September 12th at Super Indy and September 19th for a feature presentation.
I was going to say they're rolling in. They're still rolling in September 19th, the feature presentation, undefeated. They're an undefeated team going after those tag team titles. You're right. You're right, Julia. They could be walking out with everything. It's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. We will. We will walk out with everything. There's no possibility. We will walk out with everything. We're going to take the title from Patch, and then we're going to take the titles from Steak and Egg, and then we got to get Elijah booked with the heavyweight champ.
Yeah, whoever it might be at that time. Whoever it might be at that time, because who the hell knows?
You know, Mark, you and I, we've talked about, again, these guys, Elijah and Zach, and they're tenacious. You know, they may get beat up for a little while, but they find a way to win. I don't want to take anything away from it, but we're talking about Vegas here, you know, as far as, to my knowledge, right? Still IWC World Heavyweight Champion.
As of right now, as of recording.
As of right now, still the IWC World Heavyweight Champion. And I have a lot of respect for Zach and for Elijah, but I mean, he's probably bigger than both of those guys combined, Julia. That doesn't concern you at all if one of them were to get in the ring with him?
He's a big dude. He is. But the thing is, I know that my guys are younger. They're quick. They're smart. And they will find a way to win. It doesn't matter about how big or how experienced you are. It's about the win. That's all that matters.
Julia, we couple more questions, then we'll let you know. We'll let you go because I know you have a lot to do. Shoot out your social media page for everybody else that doesn't follow you, which is way behind the times. And
why wouldn't you, right?
Right. And then what else do you have going on besides the 2 wrestling events coming up? You've hinted around that you have some more modeling going on. Just what else can we expect from the Dime Piece here in the near future?
Well, my Instagram is Julia _Lynn official. That's the way you can easily see any of my modeling stuff. That's the easiest way you can see any of my wrestling stuff. I've got tons of photo shoots coming up. I've actually got one tomorrow morning that I'm going to be doing, which I'm really excited for. Let's see. There's the October magazine coming up for Rockstar's Dream. I've been working a lot with that company, so expect big things from them. I mean, considering this last magazine, we just had an interview with Robert Downey Jr., which was really cool.
Unbelievable.
other than that, I mean, just keep tuning in to my Instagram page. I'll make any big announcements regarding anything that's going on in my life with that, whether it's on my story, whether it's on my wall. Check it out on that. Definitely check out Elijah's, the Man Dime, and then Zach Nystrom's. Definitely check them out too. But best way to keep in touch with me with everything that's going on in my life is through my Instagram.
John, anything else before we let her go? She's busy. She's got a photo shoot. She's got stuff to do.
Yeah. She's got things to do. She's been more than gracious with her time. Thank you, Julia.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Julia. We will see you on September 12th at Washington for Super Indy. And thanks for gracing us on Can Crushers.
Hey, not a problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Wow, she's sassy Molassy, Mark.
She is sassy Molassy. I love that you brought that up because I was actually thinking the same thing, that she brought some sass. And speaking of some sass, she doesn't like Soup.
No, she doesn't. Soup likes her, though.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that it doesn't cause a riff in between anything, and he's still allowed to go to IWC, because that's a way that he could get kicked out of IWC. And I like when he comes with us.
I do too. I didn't mean to get too carried away earlier when she mentioned Sensational Sherry, but I know how excited you get when you think of a comparison in your head for your guest and you're pretty close. You don't, freak out the way I did. I just lost my mind there for a second because I guessed right.
It's great to feel that warm sensation. That you actually got it. And no disrespect, John, I'm going to hold up my notebook that I have that written. You can't see it, but I have that, and I said it during the show, that she and the Man Dime are Sherry and HBK during that run.
Yep.
So she's a wonderful human being. Stop talking about wrestling for a minute. The tattoos and what they mean. I have tattoos, and they warm my heart. Those stories behind her tattoos are wonderful.
Yeah, they really are. And mentioned in the interview, she's a real go-getter. She's an ambitious person, and that's great to see. That you can be an ambitious person and not be so cutthroat. Have a connection to your family. Talking wrestling, though, she is pretty cutthroat. She has made that abundantly clear. It's about the bucks, and that's about it. It's about the bucks with her.
It is about the bucks. Great interview again. I want to say thank you, Dime Piece, Julia, however you know her. We know her as Julia. Thank you for coming on Can Crushers. It was a great show. I love this interview. I love knowing more about you and what's to come with Team Big League.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for letting me in on this one, Mark, because this one was a real treat for me, too.
Yeah. Guys, if you have any questions, send them to cancrusher69@gmail.com. Follow all our social media. Go back and listen and follow Julia's social media. It's also going to be linked in the notes that's linked to the podcast, so you can just jump in right from there. Follow her, see what she's doing in life. Buy some of those magazines that she's in. I'm sure that gets some kickback. Buy shirts, Support indie wrestling is what I'm getting to, and what else they do. And damn it, if you're in Erie, go get a freaking haircut.
Yeah, all that stuff.
So, all right, until Sunday, John, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things.
It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot.